it wasn't necessarily easy. You need to think about, how much do I trust the British government? Of course, by 1875, Britain was an empire over which the sun didn't set. Okay. And America was the newcomer. One of the reasons this is 1875 is pretty much the end of Reconstruction in the United States, the 10-year period after the end of the Civil War, and when the economy kind of started humming again, and industrial revolution started visiting US. They needed a system. So someone said, how about we fix the value of currencies into gold? So that meant every country fixed their currency to gold. We also call it pegged it to the gold. For example, the British government said 1 ounce of gold buys you 10 pounds sterling, as it was called then. Pound wasn't even in decimal terms, but that didn't matter. 1 ounce of gold bought you 10 pounds sterling, and maybe 1 ounce of gold bought you 100 French francs. Okay? So if you wanted to exchange your British pound into French franc, all you have to do is compare the gold fixings. In this case, 1 British pound is going to get you 10 French francs, which was roughly the exchange rate when euros started as French franc. It was no longer. But how was that system kind of stable or in equilibrium? Think of it like this. Let's think about the arbitrage argument. There was actually a free market for exchanging currencies. You didn't have to get the gold involved. If you had, you're a wealthy British businessman and you wanted to visit Paris, you go there with your British pounds and you exchange them into French francs and spend the money there. Or you exchange them in London before you leave. But either way, there is a market where that exchange happens. So it's kind of the thought experiment. Suppose it's pegged to gold, 1 ounce of gold gets you 10 British pounds, and French franc is pegged so that it buys you 100 French francs. FFR was £1 of GBP FFR was equal to 9.5. So if you went to a currency dealer in London, they only gave you 95 French francs if you gave them, as they call it in England, tenner, which means a 10 pound currency. is there a way the market forces should work to make that the proper exchange rate? Because exchange rate implied by the gold standard is GBP FFR 10. Is there a way market forces could work so that it would actually get to 10? So let's see what we could do. If the market says it's 9.5, that means pound is cheaper than it should be, okay? Because based on gold content or fixing to the gold, pound is worth 10 French francs, but the market says it's 9.5. So that means pound is cheaper. So if I borrow gold, so if I borrow, let's say, 1 ounce of gold, assume there is no interest on it, I can convert that French francs, because with the gold standard, if you took 1 ounce of gold to any bank in that country that adheres to the gold standard, they had to give you that much currency. If I took 1 ounce of gold to a British bank in London, they were required to give you 10 pounds. If you took that to a French bank in Paris, they were required to give you 100 pounds. So if I borrow 1 ounce of gold, I can convert that to French franc. So that's going to give you 100 French francs. In the FX market, FX is short for foreign exchange. I can convert that to pounds. That exchange rate, 9.5, is value of 1 pound in French francs. So if I want value of 1 franc in pounds, I have to flip it. That's going to give me a little bit over 10.5 pounds, right? Then if I take GBP 10 pounds to a bank in London, they are required to give me 1 ounce of gold. I use that to pay back my gold loan. So I owed 1 ounce of gold. Now I paid that back, but I used only 10 pounds to do that. I still have left over, and that is independent of the exchange rate. So I made money by getting into transactions with no risk whatsoever. This is called arbitrage, which means you do a series of transactions and there is no probable that you will lose money on that trade is zero. That is not allowed by laws of supply and demand. Okay? In fact, in finance, the right prices are prices where arbitrage is not possible. Let's see what would happen if this is the case. Let's say market insisted at 9.5. That means anybody that has enough credit line can borrow gold as much as they can, right? So if my bank says, I'll let you borrow up to 1,000 ounces of gold, that means I would have made 526 pounds over this deal. I borrow a lot of gold, then I'm going to convert them to French francs. But then I'm going to convert those francs into pounds. That means in the exchange rate market, FX market, I'm selling French francs and I'm buying pounds. So the supply of French francs is increasing in the FX market, and the demand for British pounds is increasing. What happens to the price of something when demand for it goes up? It goes up. That means price of pound should go up, price of French franc should go down. So market forces this GBP French franc to go up until it reaches 10. Suppose GBP, this time I'm going to borrow the gold, I'm going to convert it to the pound because pound is too expensive here. I'm going to convert it to pounds, sell pounds to get French francs, convert those French francs into gold, pay back the gold loan. In fact, in this case, I'm going to make, I think 500, no, 50 francs, okay? Or whatever that number is. You know,